So anyway, we're going to go into the song. We encourage everyone to sing along with us. We do provide lyrics, for those of you who may not remember. And then Ed and I will do a slightly longer intro, our usual one. And you guys should cheer at the appropriate moments. And then our main topic that we're going to talk about is that Black Hat survey that came out a couple of days ago. We're going to hit some of the high points, but then we're going to look to make this very interactive. So as you guys have questions, comments, that kind of stuff, we have our roving microphone here, so I'll bring it out into the audience as people want to ask. If you want to be on the podcast, we would love to have you on it. And then when we get to the end, we'll do a little outro, and then we have a very special closing song that we will also be singing. You're welcome to stay for that.
Okay, I do get to step down after we do Werewolves of London?
Yeah, you can if you choose, but I can see where you would want to come back.
Oh, that's true.
All right.
Oh, no.
You're a PVCSec Live. What do you expect? You're good? You're set? You guys are set?
Yes.
Okay, we are recording. In 3, 2. On this episode of PVCSec,
The Black Hat survey and what security professionals in Detroit have to say.
questions from our live audience.
Coming to you live from Converge Detroit 2015.
Woo! All this and more on this very special episode of the PVC Security Podcast.
Paul already messed up. Come on, Paul, as always. All right, so if you never listen to our podcast, we always start with our own song because everyone has music, right? But we're cheap. And so we just basically sing a cappella all our songs. So this is for Mr. Wolfgang, if you don't know the lyrics. So we go on a 1, on a 2, on a 1, 2, 3. I saw a werewolf with a Chinese menu in his hand, walking through the streets of Soho in the rain. He was looking for a place called Lee Ho Fooks. Gonna get a big dish of beef chow mein.
Werewolves of London. Ow! Come on now. Werewolves of London.
Werewolves of London.
Dude, even with a live studio audience, freaking songs never work.
It's still pretty bad.
Wolfgang Gerlich, everybody.
Yeah, Mr. Wolfgang.
Thank you guys for coming to Detroit. This is fantastic to have you out here at Converge. Very, very cool.
Well, thank you very much for having us. We are having a blast here in Detroit on the campus of Wayne State University. I don't know if you knew that.
Wayne State University.
I graduated from here. Oh, no, it was your sister. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
No, seriously.
Cool.
Your sister got a master's degree at Wayne.
Cool. So, dear friends, welcome to the PVC Security Podcast. This is the latest episode in a collector's series. My name is Paul R. Jorgensen. As we said, coming to you from Converge Detroit 2015 on the campus of Wayne State University in beautiful downtown Detroit, Michigan, US of A. With me this week is Edgar Silver Fox Rojas, also live on stage.
I know it's a pleasure to all of you for me to be here live on stage. It's a lot of beautiful women. It's if you guys weren't here, you're missing something fantastic. History in the making.
So, Ed, do you want to talk a little bit about this new adventure that you've got going on?
Yeah. So there's a new event called Tactical Edge. It's going to be, I'm setting it up in Colombia next year, 2016. I like to plan ahead, way ahead. That's a few of the people that are going to come, right? So Wendy Nather, a lot of you know her. Everyone knows Jack. Everyone knows Rafael. Javak Malik down there. You have Bob Rudis. If you don't know who he is, he's the one that comes up with the InfoSec yearly InfoSec Bible, right? Verizon.
Yeah, the Verizon report.
Yeah, he's the one that helps write it. Then we have Mr. Paul Cogan. We know him as the redneck of InfoSec, right? Seriously. And Paul Jorgensen.
Yours truly. Thank you.
And we have Paula. I can never pronounce her last name. She's fantastic. If you've never seen her live, this girl, oh my God, she knows her stuff. She's one of the very few people that has access to source code at Microsoft and works very closely with Microsoft in the security aspect. So she's fantastic. And since part of what I wanted to do here was, again, let people know about this, the event. So very happy to announce that we were able to add 2 new fantastic names. I wanted one more so we can do the Brady Bunch.
And there was stiff competition on who was going to have that Alice spot in the center.
But Mr. Wolfgang is going to be joining us in Colombia next year. Yes. It's shaping out to be a Black Hat Colombia type of thing. And Mr. Jason Street is going to come and join us as well. So, holy cow.
All right.
Yeah. So, I suggest you start saving your money and come to Bogota, September 29th through October 1st, 2016.
So, no excuses. You guys didn't know that this was coming.
Right. So, anyway, with that, we go into a couple of things that we want to talk about. And I forgot about what we're talking about. Oh, yeah. So, a lot of the things that we're talking about here have to do with priorities, right? I mean, there was a very good presentation by, I forgot his name, the CISO for, what was his name, Wolfgang? The CISO for the energy company. Yeah, fantastic. I don't know you
Jim
guys.
Beachy for the
Jim
podcast
Beachy.
audience listening at home.
Fantastic presentation, right? Talking and telling us about the CISO. Hey, Info Sisters here.
She finally made it all the way from down I-75.
Excellent. So he was talking about what he does, right? How he focuses programs and everything, and he was talking about doing it based on the SANS Top 20, which is, we all agree that's a good way of doing it. But there's top concerns, priorities, and things for everyone in the security field. So there was a very nice report that came out by Black Hat. When did it come out, Paul?
Earlier this week, as we're recording this.
And it's pretty good. I don't know if you guys have seen it. We can go into that right now, Paul, if you don't mind. Unless you want to talk about this slide here. Anyway, so just to make sure, since you're listening at home and you're not seeing what we're seeing, again, all our links will be on the PVCSec.com website. So
we'll have show notes up for this, so all the links will be in there, and you guys will be able to read this for yourself, which we highly recommend. But yeah, so this first slide is out of an article that came out of, let me see, HelpNet Security. They had it up there, and I think they might have borrowed this one initially from Gartner. But really it talks about application flaws and the top concerns related to those, which they use as kind of an intro to the Black Hat report.
And I'd like to, talk about a little bit with you guys about number 1. Is that really a concern for us? Sophisticated attacks targeted directly at the organization. Is that something that worries all of us? Seriously?
To what level? Oh, here. To what level?
It's a very high level because our name starts with an A. They know we have supercomputers. They come after us.
So you're a specific target that people are looking for.
But I think that at the same time, if you're looking for sophisticated attacks targeted directly at the organization, then you definitely need to be understanding that you've got to be making sure your phishing is protected, that your employees are educated, that you don't have SQL injections on your website, and then start worrying about some of this other stuff. So it's like, I worry about that, but I've got Sony got popped by SQL injection. It's like Target got popped by phishing.
Right.
It's like those weren't sophisticated attacks targeted directly.
And like you said this morning in your talk, the 2003 SQL Slammer, the people are still having it. So again, to us, I guess it depends on the organization also, right? But I'm pretty sure not everyone is a worldwide target or works for an organization that's a worldwide target. So it's kind of weird that that's up there. To me, it's weird that one, sophisticated attacks. I can see phishing, accidental data leaks. I love that one. Like,
surprise,
accidentally.
Surprise, end users.
But it's always that, accidental. Again, we're not lawyers, but, that has lawyers speak all over.
But then we think it's interesting, and we're going to go into some of the more detailed slides here in a minute, but when you look at those top concerns, and then you look at what the time-consuming tasks are. So we've got people that are really worried about those sophisticated targeted attacks, but it doesn't come into their top 3 of where they're actually spending their time.
So how do we explain that? That to me is like a disconnect. So we would love to have, Bob Brutus, Mr. Data Scientist here, explain to us how the heck did that happen.
Yeah, so this is the first slide out of the actual report.
Right. So it's the Black Hat attendee survey. So really quickly, what I remember reading about this was done last year in Black Hat, right? And people were given a questionnaire because they said that the most technically savvy people go to Black Hat, right? So you assume that it's going to be good information, right? Solid information. But again, watch what happens as we go to the slides. So again, number 1, sophisticated attacks. It's weird because if we go to the previous slide again, it came from, we're assuming, Gartner, right?
Yeah, well, either it was HelpNet or Gartner. Somebody went and rolled this particular slide up.
So the question is, did they base that on the Black Hat report, or there's something weird going on first?
It was based on the Black Hat report.
Okay, well, there you go.
So it's just kind of an overall summary. So the first question that they had on here is, of the following threats and challenges, which are of the greatest concern to you? And as you said, sophisticated attacks targeted directly at the organization not only is at the top, but it's got a 57% rating insofar as the number of people that responded to this. By the way, it was 460 respondents out of about, 8,000 attendees typically at Black Hat?
Where in there is mobile? Right there.
Whoops. Yeah, mobile is way down, second from the bottom at 8%.
Right? It's exactly, that's what I said. I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense. So Paul and I got into a mini argument during this freaking humongous breakfast this morning that, he said, well, maybe there's no vector or it's still easier to use your desktops or laptops and everything. And I'm like, no, I just think that they haven't done a complete study yet to find out the originators, where it originates from. Just like a few years ago, Apple is the most secure thing because no one is hacking it. Well, no, it's because the market that Apple had in those days weren't that big. And now once they got big, then they started focusing on all that. And all of a sudden, yesterday, we start talking about this new OS X 10.1 or something like whatever rule that a login or something that allows you to get privileged access remotely or something like that on an Apple device. So again, I'm always very wary about all of these things.
Yeah, and here are some other interesting things. Number 2, phishing social network. Basically, we're talking about issues with, again, end users. But then, and we have accidental leaks by end users. But then we got polymorphic malware, espionage by foreign governments. Some interesting things up there in the top 5 or 6 in the findings for the things that are concerning these security professionals. But then you jump over to which consume the greatest amount of your time during the average day. The numbers change dramatically, almost contradicting each other. Surveillance is the very bottom now.
Where's mobility?
Mobility is in here somewhere. 8%. Yeah, so it's relatively down low, but up a little bit. But up at the top, security vulnerabilities. Introduced by my own application development team. More security vulnerabilities based off of the off-the-shelf stuff. The phishing, internal, end users, accidental data leaks. This is all the stuff that we've been talking about for 20 plus years. And this is where we're actually spending the time, but it's not necessarily the things that people are concerned about.
Based on Jason's presentation this morning, sophisticated attacks targeted directly at the organization. That's exactly what you were doing in your videos. You were doing specific targeted attacks. Were they sophisticated? No. Right?
The answer was no.
The first part is basic, adorable destruction. Basic being the key word in that. It's like,
so, again, what I told Paul, I said, to me, it seems like the guys or the people that go and fill in this surveys. Sorry, English is my second language. I think that they're living in a different world, right? So if you go to the first figure, when they're like, this is the greatest concern. This is what I want to be concerned with, right? sophisticated attacks because I want to be, Thor in that movie, Hacker, right? I want to be that guy.
Swordfish.
Yeah, swordfish. Yeah, I want to be the cool guy, right? I want to do, but in reality, what they do is that. So, which one is more exciting to tell people, right? Oh man, I fight. No, I got to do this. Some developer did something wrong, SQL injection, or patching Microsoft or Apple. That's basically off the shelf. That's what we're talking about here, right?
Right. So now another one that I particularly like is, okay, great. So we know what we're concerned about. We know what we're spending time on. Let's ask the real question. Where are we spending the money? And we're talking about accidental data leaks, so DLP, right? Sophisticated attacks by the organization.
By the way, does DLP work? We're spending a lot of money on DLP.
Yeah. What this slide is telling me is that, like the folks outside at the vendor fair, those sales folks are doing a really nice job. They're selling a lot of shiny boxes. Right?
But we love them, right? We love the sponsors.
Thank you for
an applause for the sponsors. Yay, sponsors. And I'm looking for sponsors for Tactical Edge, by the way.
Yeah, and of course, when we look at what we're spending money on, again, surveillance by the government is pretty down there, foreign governments and competitors, but it's the stuff here in the middle where we start looking at more interesting, easy to deal with, more commonly dealt with. So like your phishing and your social engineering stuff.
So let me ask you a question, Paul, and the audience. So do you feel that by looking at this report, if I'm a hacker looking for intelligence stuff, based on this, what am I going to be focusing on? Can I use that to start focusing a new vector of attack based on that information? I mean, I'm asking, can we?
You can base it on what they're not spending money on and attack those vectors because they obviously don't have the budget to cope with it.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And we need more than Jason. There's like 20 people here, people that are listening, and there's only 2 people talking to us. I think, Paul, you're going to have to move over there.
I'm going to get back over here. But so we're on to figure 4 on the deck, which is around which do you believe will be of the greatest concern 2 years from now? So not even what we're worried about right now, but what's coming down the pike. And up there at the very top, Ed, what is that one?
Digital attacks on non-computer devices and systems, the Internet of Things.
2 years, we're going to be worried about the exact same thing we're worried about today, because nobody fixes anything.
That is true.
So a fun fact, we had a conversation about Internet of Things in one of the early PVCSecs, and we got a couple of people came on board to talk to us about it, and they couldn't say too much, right? Because they haven't heard much about it. Well, now we all have heard, and that was only like a few months ago, like 3 or 4 months ago that we had that episode, right, Paul?
Yeah, not too long ago.
And then we also wanted to talk about fog computing, because that one is the one that scared the hell out of me. Fog computing, right?
Oh, yeah, that's
you guys heard of fog computing? You haven't heard of fog computing? Oh my God, So fog computing, the easier way that I can put it, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because now we're in a room with a lot of very smart people, not just Paul.
But especially me.
Especially. Fog computing, as I understand it, has to do with taking all of these IoTs, right? The power that they have of processing power, and basically combining them all together, so that they can do analysis at that point before going into the cloud. So that's what they're saying. Fog computing, all the analysis, all the work is being done over here, so that the information can get back to you quickly. I'm like, what do you mean? Is my fridge going to be involved in doing some kind of calculation for a very important organization? It's kind of weird. So I agree with you. InfoSys. It's like we're going to be worrying about the same same things that we're worrying about now in 2 years from now. Nothing is going to change.
Because actually, if you look at the very bottom one to really illustrate that, security vulnerabilities introduced by my own application development team. That was at the top of our current concerns right now. They're saying in 2 years we're going to solve that problem. What they're spending time on. Yes, thank you. Yeah, what they're spending time on versus what they're going to be worried about in 2 years. Yeah, so that's... Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
The one thing that's really standing out to me is on all of the metrics, it seems like mobile devices are not being taken seriously at all. And that's where, like, you know, if I'm a malware developer, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to put a bugged Android app in the store and steal everything I can.
Yeah, good point.
How about, what is this one?
So now this one, figure 5, what is the weakest link in today's enterprise IT defenses? Again, shocker on this one. It's end users. I know. There's never been a problem before. It's hard to believe that they're the weakest link today.
But I love item number 3.
Yeah, there you go. There's
right,
your mobile.
Mobile devices. So again, all these numbers to me makes no sense. It absolutely make no sense. And I'm not saying that Black Hat did a bad thing. I think it's a good idea because it's getting information, real-time information. But what this is telling us is what you and I discussed in the morning. We're a schizophrenic type of industry. We're a crazy industry.
I think also to point out that when you're looking at this survey, you're looking at people that are attending that conference right now, and the talks that they saw right then is also clouding their judgment and they're clouding their answers because all those super sophisticated attacks, well, they're seeing them played out live on the stage right there, and then they fill out this survey. It's because of the things that they see. So if they went back to their work and they actually were in the day-to-day, I think their answers may have changed. But at the thing, it's like maybe there weren't that many mobile talks last year, so therefore it wasn't that big of a threat. It's like because they were seeing all these other things being, compromised. So I think maybe that also shaded the questionnaire as well because of where they were at.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
a great point.
Yeah. So
top of mind point, effectively.
Yeah.
One more thing too, I noticed on those first slides it was saying maximum of 3 responses, and it might have been, I should probably get this out here because I can only say 3 responses. So the way they did the survey was kind of weird too.
Yeah, and again, that's where we want to get our buddy Bob Brutus involved because he likes to go through other people's reports and redo them so that they're actually better.
Yeah, have you seen his latest report? He did something, it was on LinkedIn, and I had a question for him. And so, Bob, if you're listening to this, he shows a report that has negative numbers based on, real answers, right? So if the answer is a yes or a no, I want to find out how do you get negative numbers from a yes or no answer. So I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things I do find heartening on this particular slide, though, is the second item. The lack of comprehensive security architecture and planning that goes beyond firefighting. As a consultant, I know this is my bread and butter. It's Ed's too. But the fact that it even showed up on here when, again, so many folks are busy wanting to buy that new shiny box, it's nice that they're actually thinking at a low infrastructure level and not just the new hotness.
So also it's interesting to find out who were the people, the level of the people that were part of the survey.
The survey, yeah.
Were they C-level executives, or were they like us? Were they consultants? Were they engineers, right? That work on this, because again, their vision is skewed based on their experience on what they do on a day-to-day basis, right? So it's interesting. Oh, now we got pie charts.
Oh yeah, gotta love pie charts.
But they're not 3D, so they're okay.
Yeah. Again, another shout out to Bob Brutus. So these are pretty interesting. So we've got figures 6 and 7 up on the projector right now. And the first one is, does your organization have enough security staff to defend itself against current threats? Unsurprisingly, 51% say, no, we could use a little bit of help. Actually, the one thing that is surprising to me is that it's
17 is fantastic.
the 17% are up there is no, we are completely underwater. I was expecting those two to be flipped. Because again, most of the organizations that I deal with, same in Ed's world, same for a lot of consultants, is we are underwater. We don't know what to do. We can't prioritize.
I want to know the 27% that said they're perfectly staffed for security. That's a scary one.
Do you expect that the staff is the problem, or do the talent of the staff you have shore this issue?
No, and I can take that answer if you don't mind, Paul.
Yep,
go back to the previous slide. Number 2. it definitely has to be number 2, a lack of comprehensive security architecture and planning that goes beyond firefighting, right? I'm in a project right now where I'm helping set up a SOC, right? And we would like to start implementing some, some planning so we can do some monitoring and stuff. Right now, I've been there for 3 months. I'm already burned out. Yeah. Seriously burned out because it's constant. Fix this firewall, fix this proxy, fix this, fix it. It's always firefighting. We're working on something, drop everything because FBI just sent a flash notice that a energy company in Canada is being attacked. So all energy companies, all oil companies, you guys better start implementing this in your firewalls, in your proxies and everything. So it's always firefighting, always, right? And we never have a chance to even take a look at the security architecture or planning, if there's any, right? And usually, I come from a networking background. I worked for a company called Extreme Networks for almost 10-something years. So networking is what I do. I've seen networks that are awful. I mean, they are so bad. I mean, we found one at an energy that Paul and I did that was actually using real IP addresses in their core.
Yeah.
And
actual
it was
IP.
Actual IP. We're like, you're an energy company. How the hell? Right? Yeah. So, does that answer your question?
Allegedly, they were doing that.
It's not the people. It's not the people. It's lack of time a lot of the time, right? It's firefighting.
And I'm going to slightly disagree with Ed
on
my answer, but it's coming up on another slide, so hang tight. The next slide. Do you have plans to seek an IT security position anytime in the near future? So I find this one particularly interesting, too, because you have 12% saying, yes, definitely I'm looking for something. But then you've got 63% of the respondents saying, basically, I'm looking. If something comes down the pike, sure, but I'm probably happy with what I'm doing right now. I find that surprising.
Well, I like the honesty on the 24%. I really love my job and my employer, and it will take a lot, uppercase, capitalized, to get me to move. We know what that lot means, right?
Yes.
A lot of dollar signs.
A lot of scratch.
So that's good, honestly.
But this is one of the things that kind of goes back to your question, which is we had, traditionally in corporate America, people would work for a company for their entire careers, right? You would start straight out of college. Maybe you would change jobs once or twice, but typically you were there for a long dang time. Well, I don't know about you, but I've had 3 different jobs in the last 5 years, right? So the total environment has changed, and the fact that we've got,
wait. Is that the environment or is Paul? Is it an environment issue or is it a Paul issue?
Well, it's probably both because I am a trendsetter. So, but this does call in to question the way that organizations are actually empowering people, how they're bringing them in, how they're training them, developing them, giving them something interesting to do. I think that if this is something that companies they're not doing a very good job of, and they really haven't got their head wrapped around it because, again, a lot of HR departments and the folks that do staffing and stuff, they still don't understand what the hell it is we do.
I don't know why Wolf is shaking his head no. I don't know if he's at the tweet he's reading or at the comments you're making, but...
Yeah. So...
That's my favorite. 1%. I am an indentured servant and would be beheaded if I tried this case. I, for one, would like to have a beheading department in my organization.
Oh!
Yeah, excellent employee retention plan right there. So CBI, that's the company you work for, right?
Fantastic sponsor. Shouts to CBI. Thank you for sponsoring.
We appreciate them.
We'd love to have you in Colombia if you're looking to extend your reach internationally. Bogota should be your first place.
We all just need to make sure that airport security does a good job of screening one guy's bags. That's all I'm saying.
Not Jason. Jason is always nice and clean.
That's true. So this ties in with the previous one, which is figure 8. Do you have a clear upward career path in your current place of employment. So the number 3, which is probably the one getting the most chuckles, I can't type because I'm smashed up against this glass ceiling. But again, back to the employees, the people, the staff, and how we retain them. We've got 38% that say, yeah, I know the next step, and I'm working towards it. That's not bad. But then you look at that 31%, no, but I've got an idea, and I think I'm going to stick around a while. But again, if we jump back to that earlier slide, we've got 63% that are going and saying if the right opportunity comes my way, yeah, I might jump ship. I find that very interesting.
Right, and I look at it the other way. It's like only 38% have an idea as to what they want to do next.
Yeah,
that's the way that I look at it, and that to me is kind of sad.
And that's a big chunk on the 17% too.
Yeah,
I don't see any clear path.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Change in some of these questions where somebody would ask if the current employees would stay if the management changed or if the challenge of the position changed. The funny part is this is my second day of employment with my new employer.
Oh,
my first day, they brought me to Converge.
And they're still hiring, right?
Yeah, actually, I work now with Beecher and the guys at Consumers. So I think it's funny that the whole reason I moved was the challenge is I stuck around for 2 years trying to figure out, hey, you guys are doing this incorrectly, and what can I do? And at some point, if management turns the eye, I'm going to have to look for an opportunity that not for more money, for more challenge. And that was my whole piece.
Absolutely. And I can relate to that because, we're going through the same thing, right? When you're an employer and you like what you're doing, and you go and you tell them, I love what I'm doing, but I would like to do this as well. And when they come and they say, let me think about it, or then like, no. What are your options at that point? Do you stay there when you know that they're not going to give you the opportunity to grow in the area that you want to move into? Or do you stay there for a little while longer, right? So, again, these questions, it's a survey, right? So that's...
Well, and I think from...
Let's take a survey if we all agree on this survey. I mean, it's...
We're not done with the survey yet, Ed. We can't survey the survey till we're done.
Oh, okay.
But no, I was working with a client. They're working on improving their security operations. They're going to build a SOC. They're going to go hire a SOC manager. And they said, what is the one thing that is going to help us bring in a quality person to help us run the SOC? And I said, let them build it. Give them that challenge. Tell them what you're looking for. Tell them how much money they got to spend. And then let them go do it. Let them have that interesting challenge. Because I consult on building SOCs all the time. I would love to go and get to build one from scratch. That would be awesome. I would love that kind of a challenge. And that would be the kind of thing that would keep me around inside of a company. If I've got those kinds of interesting challenges, they can also throw money at me. I'll accept that as well. But, having something fun to do makes it a lot easier to get up in the morning and go to work versus cranking through tickets all day long.
Yeah,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
So a good friend of mine, Win Rims, Jason knows him as well. I tweeted one day, I'm like, it sucks to work for a living, right? And he switched it to, no, it sucks to live for working. Holy shit. We're gonna
we're gonna bleep that out. Tim, make a mark.
Yeah, that's our PVCSec episodes are a lot of bleeps. So what is this, Paul?
So this is a little bit more out of that HelpNet security article where they talk about again, the resource shortage that we have in the industry. So they talk about 66% of respondents didn't think that there was enough security budget. Not a surprise. 73% saying that their organization doesn't have enough security staff. Again, not a surprise. Skills and training, 64%. 73%, though, expect their organization to deal with a major data breach in the year ahead. So just as an informal poll on this one, if we're talking about this first, how many of you in the room expect to deal with a major data breach in the next 12 months?
Yeah.
We got four hands went up in the room.
You count me? Or I don't count?
Oh, fine.
Oh, there you go. Everyone.
All right. How many of you think that you have enough security budget inside of your security organization? 1. Oh, nope. She's okay. That's confident. Okay. What about having enough staff? Who's got enough staff in their organization?
Never,
No.
right?
What about the skills and training? I mean, I'm here at Converge, so obviously I'm in awesome shape. But, again, that's one of these challenges. So part of what we need to do as security practitioners, as leaders inside of our organizations, these are the kinds of things that we need to be having those conversations with the organization.
But here's where I have a question. So let's go into focus on skills and training. So do we line that up to the surveys, right? What worried us and everything. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, but do we align it do we align it to that survey? So the first one, what was it? What was it, the threat, the real threat that they were working on the most? That one.
Security vulnerabilities.
Right. So introducing my own application development team. So I can tell you I have no idea how to verify applications, right? That's not what I do for a living. So if I go and I measure that 63% lack skills, I wonder how that maps to this list.
Mm-hmm.
You see, of skills that companies are looking for.
Right.
So again, it's all dependent on your
your point of view. And again,
the market
for all
you're
the
in,
all
what
the
you
math
do.
majors out there, we don't have all the statistics and numbers behind how they arrived at these things. So grain of salt on all of this stuff. But I still think it makes for an interesting conversation.
But we all agree that skills are lacking, and not referring specifically to technical. I'm assuming that means 63% technical skills, right? But there's a lot of other skills that go hand in hand with technical skills that a lot of people lack, right?
One thing that I'm noticing too is that there's a lack of soft skills in the security industry. There's a lot of scare tactics going on and things like that. And that turns management off. They don't want to listen anymore because they're tired of being scared. So increasing people's soft skills, which they're doing very well here at Converge, I think is critical.
Fantastic. Yeah. So communication skills. And I'm not talking about being able to speak clearly. Communication means written skills, right? Presentation skills, being able to stand in front of an audience and be comfortable, not sweating
Yeah.
right?
Or that level of confidence that Amanda displayed earlier when she said that she had enough.
So Amanda is hiring everyone. So if you're in the if you're in the 17%, looking for places to go. But no, I definitely agree. I agree with you. Soft skills are a big thing. We have a guy that works with me. One of the kids, I call him a kid, that's reporting to me in this practice. Fantastic technical skills. But boy, that guy can't get along with anyone. I'm like, if I can just put him in the corner, lock him in there, like, with a red stapler, like in Office Space, just put him in the bottom there. Right. He'll be fantastic.
He's got the swing line.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So, we want to make this particular portion of the podcast a bit of a roundtable. So, anybody got any particular topics that they want to dive into? Anything that either you've seen here at the conference and experience that you want to share with our ones of listeners, or other topics that you'd like to open up to the room for discussion?
Actually, I have a question for Jason based on this morning. So a lot of in this morning you showed us some videos. Yes, they were like 2007. But do those techniques that you were showing there, do they work also in the States or in what we call first world nations? I mean, or do they only...
The 2007 was just I didn't know how to program the watch to the right date. But but no, it's like I tell people, it's like I have not just broken into like different places and different parts, but I've broken into a bank branch. There was a Wired article on me breaking into I was contracted to break into 10 bank branches on the West Coast. I did 4 successfully, one after another, and they just said, "Stop! We don't want to do it anymore. We give up."
We understand. We get it.
Yeah, exactly. I broke into a security research facility that was doing chemicals that could kill people. It's like I broke in, showed how I could contaminate the quarantine area and stuff, and kill everybody in the building. I've broken into the financial center right across the street from Ground Zero. It's like got a valid badge with a forged email, and I was wearing a Your Company's Guy computer T-shirt. So I've broken into a 3-letter agency in West Virginia. It's like I've broken in like a state treasury. It's like so. Anywhere in the U.S., it's just as acceptable. You're just the same way. It's human nature. It's not a Western philosophy or an Eastern philosophy. It is just human nature. I'm adorable in any language.
I'm depressed now. So, damn. All right. So, yesterday in the keynote that Ralph Mach spoke about, he said something that I hadn't heard before. Spoke about a specific company. I forgot the name already. But something that they did, cyber ranges, right? And what they were offering is to basically create your infrastructure within their cyber range. And the idea was which to me, I didn't get it at first, but later thinking more about it, it makes sense. The idea was not to prove or find vulnerabilities, but it was to test your response team. How does your team respond to vulnerabilities, to attacks? I thought that was very cool. At the beginning, I didn't get it. I thought that that's silly because you're moving infrastructure into a infrastructure place, but you're not moving the real danger, which are the people, right? You're not moving the weakest link. You're moving equipment, and we know equipment can be broken into. But then again, something stuck in the back of my head, and he was saying that they were doing it just for testing readiness of their team, and I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know what you guys think about it. Do you think that that's something interesting moving forward for companies to do?
Yeah, does anybody here do anything like that, or like tabletop exercises, or anything like that?
Not currently, but at the last place that I worked, we actually did IR drills. So, on our live environment, we were given the okay to do IR drills. We had one of our programmers pretend that he was a virus and script something that was transmitting credit card data to see if we would catch it, and 2, what we would actually do. Really freaked out the application person that was their application supposedly doing it. But then, it brought in the rest of the departments on what policies and procedures we had in place, what technical things we had in place to go about fixing it and locking it down. And I think it's good to do it in your live environment too, if you're not actually hurting any of your live data. But, yeah.
Well, and that's the gotcha, right? Yeah, working on production data, and actually, it's funny. There was a client that I worked on a while back, and they were getting ready to do some of those tests, but they decided they didn't want to use their production environment, but they used their production data. And there was one little tiny thing that they kind of forgot to equate into that, which is the fact that it was PII and PHI. And yeah, that's a no-no. For those of you listening that don't know, PHI is personal health information. PII is personally identifiable information. And yeah, the government has something to say about that. But yeah, that can be interesting and fun if you're not careful.
I always say it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert in anything, and if you only practice this stuff, every 5 years or so forth, you're not even close. So it takes repetition and some practice.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it provides you with visibility inside of the organization too, right? Because hopefully you're bringing in not just your technical resources, but you're bringing in your legal department, maybe HR, maybe finance, maybe some of these other folks. And it's a way of demonstrating to them exactly what's out there in a way that becomes very real to what they do.
The stack on top of that, just involving the training, you got to keep that going and continuing it. Corporations spend a lot of money to put it in there, and then next time you get training, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years down the road? Yeah.
How about when you ask for training and they say, well, we have the CBT. Go ahead and go on the intranet, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
you're kidding me?
Holy cow. Training. We got this old stuff on this mainframe. Here you go. Have fun.
Hey, man, I work for IBM. We like mainframes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Paul works for IBM.
Yeah. But good point. Yeah, the training is a huge part of that. And having something good and useful and semi-current anyway would be something nice for a lot of organizations and something that they struggle with. Certainly, it's been my experience.
So we appreciate you guys being here with us, and lady, fantastic. I'm sorry, room full of ladies. Thank you very much. Oh, you got. Oh, okay.
Oh,
one more comment. One more comment. One more comment.
Oh,
Perception and
I'm
reality.
looking at the results here, and the reason I say that is Jason. Did I say that correctly? You're on the job of going and shining your way into places, okay? So you would think that the reality is this is happening all the time. But yet, and we know the news media would never lie, we're not seeing it in the news media. So, you're kind of going after a threat here that isn't really widely recognized, yet it's really low-hanging fruit. So I'm wondering about that gap between the reality is the security programs suck, but they look at theirs as much higher level.
yeah,
I think one of the biggest problems is the fact that a lot of these companies don't realize attacks like me are happening because people are walking in, they can steal the data, they can photograph the data, and then they can leave. You don't even know you've been hit. It's like until Company X brings out a very similar product that you're wondering where they got that research data from. It's like there was, what was it? 3 years ago? It was 3 or 4 years ago where they actually said that one of Sun Oracle's executives was caught trying to steal secrets from Oracle to go to another competitor, and he used a recording device that he got out of SkyMall. You can get the recorder pins that I have, the some spyware Trojan tools that I had. It's like all these different tools come out of SkyMall. It's like it's not an advanced attack. It's like it's not something, that was very sophisticated. And it's being done all the time. People were stealing customer data lists so they can go somewhere else, like in banking and like in real estate. Those things are happening all the time. They're just, people aren't equating that is something that's like data loss, or they're not equating the risk factor to it, and it's there.
Yeah, and I think that there's another aspect to it. It's the infamous survey that was done 5 or 10 years ago, where they went and polled a bunch of parents and said, where do you rate your child? Are they below average, average, or above average? And like 90% said above average. And that's kind of the way that a lot of companies feel about their security. Oh, yeah, I know that there are problems out there, but we're above average. No, of course not.
All right, so thank you again. Thank you so much. This is being recorded, like we said, live before a studio audience. I was meant to say that. I didn't know what that meant, but I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you. And now, so we have an intro song, and we always close it with a nice song.
Are we gonna do "I'm Too Sexy"?
No,
Or
that
I
one.
Hack Myself.
Let's do "I Hack Myself." I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. All right, and ready? 1, 2, 3. Let's go. I hack myself. I want you to hack me. When I'm feeling down, I want you to exploit me. I search myself. I want you to find me. I forget myself. I want you to recall me. I don't want anybody else. When I think about you, I hack myself.
I don't want anybody else. Oh no.
Oh my
God.
Oh no.
Oh really no.
Paul, this has to be definitely the best outro ever in the history of podcast.
Here's the thing. We all had to carry you and your flat voice.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And with that, dear friends, we conclude this latest thrilling episode of the PVC Security Podcast.
For more about the show, point your browsers at PVCSec.com. Links to all of PVCSec's social media outlets are on our social media page.
You can find the PVC Security Podcast on iTunes, you, the listener, can give us a rating and leave a comment.
The PVC Security Podcast is available on Stitcher, SoundCloud, and the Blueberry Network. Look for us in those venues. On Twitter, he's at PR Jorgensen with an E.
He's at Edgar Rojas with a 0. The show is at PVCSec. Hashtag AskPVCSec for us to see your questions and comments, or email us at comments@pvcsec.com.
Do we need to say anything about our producer? Because he wasn't here
Our
today.
producer, sounding board, and senior baseball correspondent who
Timothy
didn't come
DeBlock.
to the event.
Yes.
No.
Boo.
Boo. Boo, team. We hate
We
you.
miss you, Tim.
Yes, we do miss you, Tim. So where does that leave us?
Our theme music is by all of us at the moment.
And the world will never be the same.
And remember that while Paul works for IBM,
And Ed works for...
that was HP?
That was HP, but
Okay.
the H is silent.
As consulting enterprise information security professionals, we are probably not your consulting enterprise information security professionals. Your mileage may vary. The brilliant ideas, and they were brilliant, and keen insights we provide are ours and ours alone. They do not necessarily reflect anything with which our employers may we want to be associated.
Keep your dials tuned, your podcatchers configured, and your calendars duly appointed for the next thrilling episode of the PVC Security Podcast.
And don't forget Tactical Edge, tacticaledge.co.
Yep.
Please check it out. Come on down to Bogota. We'll wait for you with open arms.
And we want to thank Converge Detroit, for having us out here. We had a blast, both in our presentation yesterday and podcasting today. So thank you very much for putting on this fantastic event.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you both for coming out. This has been fantastic. Well, it's the song, but it's always a blast being on with you guys. Thanks so much for coming to Converge Detroit.
All right, thank you. And